Let me say this clearly. I'm not against induction. I use it. I've used it for decades. It saves lives when it's needed. But induction has become routine. And routine medicine is dangerous medicine. So today, I want to talk about one simple principle. No induction unless it's medically necessary. Not because it sounds good, not because it's trending, but because physiology still matters. Induction is not starting labor. It's forcing a process the body hasn't begun. That doesn't mean it's wrong. It means it's powerful. And powerful tools deserve restraint. When induction is used for, say, severe preeclampsia, growth restriction, unstable medical conditions, real risk to mother or baby, it can be life-saving. But when it's used because we are uncomfortable waiting, someone is nervous, or calendar is full, 39 weeks sounds safer than it actually is, that's not medicine. That's management. We didn't always practice this way. Induction didn't start as routine. It started as rescue. But over time, fear replaced judgment. Fear of lawsuits, bad outcomes, unpredictability, waiting. And when fear drives decisions, intervention follows. The problem isn't that we have tools. The problem is that we stopped trusting time. This is where things get blurry. Medically necessary does not mean the baby's big, the due date has passed, the provider is uncomfortable, the patient is tired. Necessary means this: there is clear evidence that continuing the pregnancy is more dangerous than ending it. That's a high bar, and it should be, because once you intervene, you don't control what comes next. Induction doesn't exist in isolation. It often leads to longer labors, stronger contractions, earlier epidurals, less movement, more monitoring, more pressure, and sometimes cesarean delivery. Not because the woman failed, because the process was altered. This part matters. Waiting is not neglect. Waiting is active care. It looks like kick counts, non-stress tests, fluid checks, blood pressure monitoring, and honest conversations. Monitoring is medicine. Intervening is sometimes medicine. Confusing the two is where we go wrong. I've seen what happens when we wait appropriately. I've also seen what happens when we don't. This isn't ideology. It's pattern recognition. When induction is chosen carefully, birth often unfolds beautifully. When it's chosen casually, get complicated quickly. This is the part we don't say out loud enough. Despite everything we do in obstetrics, we still do not fully understand how labor starts. We understand pieces, we understand patterns, we understand outcomes. But the orchestration, the timing, the hormonal cascade, the interaction between mother and baby remains incomplete. And yet we intervene anyway. When we talk about induction, the tools are surprisingly few. For cervical ripening, there are only 2 chemical options. Only one of them was formally approved for this purpose in the mid-1990s. The other, the one most commonly used, was never approved for use in pregnancy and still carries a black box warning: do not use in pregnancy. That doesn't make it evil. It doesn't make doctors reckless. It makes this fact unavoidable. Our pharmacologic tools are limited, and limited tools demand restraint. The physiology that guides labor was mapped long ago. Braxton Hicks contractions were described in 1872. The reflex that triggers woman urge to push, the so-called the Ferguson reflex, was described in the 1940s. In the decades since, obstetrics hasn't uncovered much that's fundamentally new about how labor works. What we've added instead are layers of monitoring, timing, and control. At some point, we stopped discovering labor and started managing it. Much of what we think we know comes from animal models. Rodents. Controlled environments, simplified systems. Useful? Yes. Complete? No. Which raises a simple, honest question. How aggressively should we intervene in a process we don't fully understand? This isn't an argument against medicine. It's an argument for humility. Physiology came before us. Our job isn't to dominate it, it's to understand it, support it, and step in only when the risk is real. Restraint is not weakness, it's maturity. If you take one thing from this, let it be this. Intervention should be earned, not assumed. In the next episode, I'm going to talk about what happens when induction becomes routine and how it connects directly to our cesarean rate. Not to scare you, not to shame anyone, but to tell the truth calmly and without apology.